So we begin with chapter 9, module 2, where we'll be talking about business ethics today. Now let's understand what is business ethics. What basically is ethics? Ethics firstly is derived from a Greek word ethos, which means character. And by and large we mean by ethics that they are the general characteristic values, beliefs, norms, traditions that have been instilled in an individual based on which how he or she functions. Why do we really need to understand business ethics from the point of view of business communication? It's because as future managers, as budding managers, when integratively your ethical values are strong, not only you're going to comprehend and become a better asset for the organization, but your values, policies of the organization will be what will be a part and parcel, and you will be able to gel up within the culture of that particular organization in a better parameter. So that is a brief introduction about what ethics are. How ethics is different from law. When we say ethics in law needs to be followed, laws basically are regulated by the system. They are legal in nature. Ethics are something that are standardized policies that one needs to follow. For example, you need to be honest. That's your ethical value, right? That's the ethics that's been taught to us. You should be fair and honest. You should be truthful in your nature. That's the ethics. Whereas law would be, in case you have been, unfaithful, or you've been unfair, you've been found embezzling certain funds, under legal laws, under legal parameters, you could be put behind bars, you could have a certain fine to pay, or you would have to face the certain consequences as stated by the law of the land. Now, what is the meaning of law of the land? Law of the land is wherever you are, whatever legal system is applicable to it, when you are on that particular space or a citizen of that particular place, you will be abiding to those laws. And if you do something against the stated laws, you could be put behind bars. So that's how we understand what is business. We understand what is ethics. We understand what is law. What is business ethics then? Business ethics can also be known as corporate conscience, right, or corporate ethics that need to be followed by both, that is the individuals in their organization as well as the organization as a whole. So the employees also need to follow these standard guidelines. At the same point in time, the corporate, that's the top management, the managers, the top level executives, the CEO, the board of directors, as an organization, the ones who constitute that organization also should be following to these ethical values, set standard values. Taking it forward, let's look at the basic level of ethics, or let's understand, or let's comprehend that which are the various stakeholders, the internal and external, who are affected by how ethical an organization is. So when we talk of stakeholders, these are the people who are either a part of the organization within the framework or outside the organization, and maybe directly or indirectly affected by the way a business functions. So when we talk of internal stakeholders, the employees, the management, that's the managers, and the top level executives. Okay, maybe they are the ones who started the business, the ones who funded the business in terms of the capital investments, or provided some sort of another resources, that's land, labor, capital, machinery. So either of the ways, the ones who are indirectly into it are the internal people or the internal stakeholders of an organization. Whereas the external stakeholders are nothing but our customers, our consumers, the government agencies, the government in general to whom we pay these taxes to, the environment by and large. They may not be a customer or consumer, but there will be people who may in the future be associated with our organizations when we provide them with the right kind of employment opportunities. They are the creditors, the suppliers, the banking and the non-banking institutions that are helping us survive, the media companies. So when we talk of these stakeholders, internal and external, there is a certain amount of duty of an organization to look after these stakeholders. When we talk of these internal stakeholders, how can you look after these employees? You can probably provide them with the right kind of medical facilities, give them the right kind of recreational facilities, make sure that they have enough amount of time spending with their families. So maybe some sort of leisure activities are planned for them, some sort of breaks are planned for them, in case if they want to go in for some sort of leaves like maternity leaves or paternity leaves, which again, in a way, apart from it to be ethical in nature, apart from it to be ethics wise trotted strong, we have certain laws also for the same. So when you give them the right kind of payment, you give them the growth opportunity, you look after them, you make sure that the safety of the place is there. If they are working in some conducive environments, the right kind of precautions are taken into consideration. So that ways your standards, ethical standards are set to look after these internal employees. And in terms of external employees, what kind of values or what kind of precautions you should take for them is to give them the right kind of employment opportunities, to give them the right kind of news that's happening within the organization, to ensure that as an organization, as an institute, as a company, you give them the quality product and services. So whatever products you are selling to them, don't make it under the loosest possible conditions or in cheap quality to ensure higher profits. Make it in good quality enough that consumers or customers, when they consume it, they get the right kind of quality and product and services. The ones who do not, it doesn't harm the environment. So when we are disposing these products, you're not harming the environment. You're paying to the government on the right time in terms of the taxes, and at the same point in time, you're doing some sort of work either voluntarily or as a philanthropist perspective in your nature. So that is how we kind of summarize business ethics, corporate ethics in a way. We summarize what is internal and external stakeholders and why it is kind of important from the point of view of the organization, because it helps them to have the right kind of goodwill in the market. It helps them to have loyal customers, right? When you give them quality products and services, they're going to be associated with you for a long-term perspective. At the same point in time, your organization's value, the brand value of your organization is always going to be on higher side. So all these parameters put aside, or all these parameters put into one constraint, is how we understand business ethics. Now let's look at the associations of business ethics at various levels by these internal and external stakeholders. Okay, so the very first thing that we understand today is from the point of view of understanding personal integrity at workplace, which is quite similar to what we had discussed during business ethics. That as an employee, what is the right kind of way of behaving for me in an organization? So right from not gossiping about your colleagues to respecting your colleagues, not just your co-workers, the ones who are on the same hierarchy levels, but respecting even people who are lower to you in terms of maybe some subordinate for you, clerical staff, your admin staff, your runaway boy, your errand boy, your peons, people who serve you something from the canteen, to your superiors, not just your immediate superior, your manager, but also the other toppest level of manager that exists in your organization. So respecting them, looking after them, not making loose comments or not passing some sort of remarks with regards to the kind of dressing they have, with regards to the culture that they belong to, or the religion that they belong to, or their nationality. So making sure you look after all of these is a part and parcel of integrity at work. Along with it, we also say that we should make sure that you are punctual in terms of your deadlines. You're punctual to your office in terms of your everyday reporting time. Occasionally, if you are late, you are letting your immediate supervisor or whosoever it be in terms of making sure that your attendance is taken care of, is being informed about your right kind of absenteeism, leaves if any, or if in case you are falling short too late to work. So making sure that you are answerable, you have the right kind of authority and responsibility when given to, taken care of it. When you have the authority and responsibility, if a certain project is given to you, not just to ensure that you make the completion for the same on the set deadline, but at the same point in time, you are responsible if anything goes wrong. You do not go around blaming others for a missed deadline or for others with regards to be not able to complete a certain task or failing in that particular task, not living up to the exact standards. So this is the kind of workplace integrity we talk about. And one more thing that can be added is not doing any sort of personal business in your work premises, or using your phones for personal leisure work, or just visiting social media apps, or using the restricted websites, if at all, from your organization perspective. So as an employee, if you are fair and you're doing the right kind of work with regards to your organization, you will be considered an important asset to an organization. In case if you're not overcharging them for any sort of business meals or entertainment allowances that you are entitled to. So if you're taking somebody out for a business dinner, so that right kind of deals can be made, making sure that you charge for whatever it is, not overcharge or not take your family members in charge for it. So somewhat on the similar lines to what we did when we were discussing the etiquettes we need to follow when we are in the business line are similar to the workplace integrity. Now let's look at in terms of the fact as what are the media ethics one should follow. Now when I talk of media ethics, it's not just about me from the point of view of being an outsider of the media agency, but if I am a media agency, what are the things that I also have to follow? So if I have a media house, if I am in the profession of journalism in terms of newspaper or broadcasting of news in terms of television, or using the podcast mediums of doing a radio show with regards to the same, so what kind of information I'm furnishing to my listeners, to my viewers, to my readers? The very first thing is to ensure that I'm not giving any half said truths, or I am not manipulating stories just to get the right kind of TRPs. Just so that this is a trending topic and put in my wrong views and influence the masses. That's the wrongest thing one can do from the point of view of media agencies or media companies or media houses, media corporate houses. At the same point in time, make sure that the kind of advertisements that I make as a media house, are not false and misleading in nature. I try to represent the right kind of facts and figures to my customers. So that they become my loyal consumers. But just in order to get them the right kind of consumers base, give them the wrong information, make them say that within a few matter of days you will be like fair and lovely. How they have to change their name to glow and lovely, because applying a cream cannot make you fair. That's your skin tone. It's going to be there forever and ever, right? You take precautions, you try to glow your skin. That's a different thing, but you can't become fair overnight. So having such names for your products, or making such ads ke lagaya aur gore ho gaye. So that kind of things should be taken into consideration. Now, when we are talking of ads, there is this whole concept of surrogate advertisements, a surrogacy, taken in from the concept of surrogacy. So, surrogate basically means substitute. So, this started off way long back when maybe a lady couldn't conceive and to have a baby, she would have a substitute in the form of another lady who would be pregnant for her, bear her child for 9 months, and then once the baby is born, she would hand it over to the lady who couldn't have that baby. And in return, probably some sort of arrangement would be taken into consideration. So surrogate advertisements is similar to the concept of surrogacy, where we talk about the concept of how we use substitute products to ensure main products. Now, a little story behind this was that in the European countries, when liquor ads were initially allowed, right, it was observed, it was seen that the females were very upset because of the fact that these liquor ads drove their husbands crazy. They started consuming alcohol on a much higher basis, and the overall fact led to disturbances in the married life or in the family life of these ladies. So to really make sure that these ladies were not furthermore depressed, upset, aggrieved about the whole situation, there was a ban on these advertisements, especially with regards to liquor. So from there, what these liquor companies then did, they started using the concept of surrogacy, the concept of substitute. So if you look at any of the ads for these liquor companies, for example, McDonald's apparently is whiskey. If you look at Seagram's Brew Royal, again it's a Scotch or a whiskey. Corona, beer basically. Kingfisher, beer. But then they started using it Kingfisher bottled water. Okay, or this McDonald's soda. So now they are selling the product with the same name, but with a different product added to it. right? We can also use the same concept for tobacco. So instead of directly tambaku as pan parag, they said that's pan parag mouth freshener and not the tobacco that people consume. So you are using substitutes to take forward your company's product, which apparently is illegal to advertise, or it's banned for advertisements, and you're going ahead with a substitute for it. So from the media ethical perspective, using surrogacy, avoid instigating people to really start using things that are injurious for their long-term health and their survival. So one concept of media ethics and surrogacy. With it, we also talk about the concept of IPR, that is intellectual property rights. Now basically these are the rights given to people who have some sort of creative literary work designed or maybe thought of and penned down, and need to be protected till a concrete thing can be made out of the same. So IPR as one part of a media law talks about the fact that how you can take care of your these creative aspects, your artistic aspects, your literary aspects, and make sure that there is no duplication of the same. There is nobody using it without prior authorization of the same. Along with it, we also understand from the point of view of companies that when you talk of media, do not use media to influence people wrongly. Don't pay them so that they give wrong, false information about your products and services to your prospective customers to ensure that you have the right kind of sales. With this, we understand personal integrity and media laws. Now let's look at the next thing.